why flowers? What is that? Because what we all have common in that book and why we're all here is our love for the flowers that we all, in some way, have incorporated in our life, in our art. What is that connection that you find that you know puts you in that place?
I think I wasn't doing flowers before. I wasn't drawn to flowers, but I think that things were going life was really tough in the past few years. And I felt like I wanted to bring something forward that brought joy.
Yeah, I'm intuitive when I paint, and I'm a mixed media artist. I forgot to mention that before, but and I use fire a lot. So my point is that I didn't set out to make flowers this way.
I usually paint on different themes. Like I do wildlife, I do ocean, I do nature. Still life is something that started from I love gardening, so I just placed some cut flowers in a flower pot one day, and I took pictures of it, and I think it just started from that simple idea.
Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Arts to Hearts podcast. I'm back with another episode with four amazing artists from our new book, 101 Floral Edition. We started this project with the intention, while this project was just a thought, we'd never thought about what this project would turn into. And I wanted, I am obsessed, as pretty much clear, with books and making books both. And I thought, there was this reel about some flowers I'd seen, and I felt like, oh, how flowers are just beautiful, and artists feel sometimes very happy. And there's also a very different side to how flowers are being painted. And I was like, flowers feel like a very soft nerve for all of us. And what beautiful book it would make if we would, just cover different themes of one book and have so many artists bring together their work and see, you know, how it looks. From that thought to a reality, I am very excited to share that we have our first edition of the Floral 101 art book now live. And as you hear this, you can also shop this book on our shop, and you can go to arts2artsproject.com. We're very excited because our next book will be on animal. It is one of my favorite themes. But today, what's exciting is I have four amazing artists from our book. You've heard the episodes before, you know the drill, what it is. So first and foremost, I'll go in and I'd love to
Thank
welcome
you
these four beautiful
for having
ladies to
us.
the podcast. Welcome, guys.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
having
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
It's an honor, it's a pleasure. A big congratulations to each one of you. How does it feel to have your work? Have you ever, any of you, have had your work published before, books and coffee table books?
It's very exciting.
Yeah, not in a book like this.
Oh, wow, congratulations, makes it special.
I had it is special. I had my I have a piece of art that's on the cover of a poetry,
Oh, wow.
and that was really special to me. I mean, it's a very small amount of people who buy and are interested in poetry books, but I there was a lot of symbiosis between her poetry and my art. So it was really an honor to do that. But this is something completely different and special in and of itself. So
So proud of each one of you. Okay, first let's go a quick round of introductions. First, let's hear where you're joining us from, who you are, what kind of work do you do, who wants to go first?
So my name is Runa Gedam. I'm a oil painting artist. I'm from Canada. I'm just visiting India right now. I'm originally from India, but I'm based in Canada. But I'm here visiting my parents. I'm in Mumbai.
Yeah, I live between the two. I have my gallery and studio in Delhi, but also I spend a lot of time in Agra itself.
I guess were you finished, Runa? Okay. I am Rachel Pruzan, and I'm from New Jersey. A very quick commute into New York City. And so I live in a suburb of New Jersey, and my studio is in a place called Manufacturers Village, which is a community of 65 artists in New Jersey. And it's also a very much like the Arts to Hearts community. It's a really supportive, fantastic, inspirational place.
So you're lucky in both the realms. You have us, and then you also have another community by your side while you're there. How lucky!
Very.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Rachel. What about you, Lynn?
I am an abstract artist in Atlanta, and I do most of my marketing through social media. But I am very much a fixture in Atlanta, and I get out as much as I can. And I started in midlife, and I'm just kind of like a cheerleader for anybody that wants to chase their dreams.
I'm Jessica Lewis, and from Nashville, and now just outside of Nashville into Goodlettsville. We moved during the pandemic, but oil painting is my main focus in portraiture and figurative work. A lot of it based on children and stories about children. So that really came about becoming a mother, and all of those things really the experiences with my children really reminded me of things that I'd forgotten about childhood, and the real magic that we see that happens that I think we grow out of. We lose a little bit of that luster, or it's just a beautiful thing to watch somebody experience life and situations for the very first time. It's very beautiful to me.
Wonderful. I can't wait to hear more of your stories. But tell me something. This is something I've been asking everybody who's come from the book. Why flowers? What is that? Because what we all have common in that book and why we're all here is our love for the flowers that we all, in some way, have incorporated in our life, in our art. What is that connection that you find that you know puts you in that place?
I can answer this. I think I wasn't doing flowers before. I wasn't drawn to flowers, but I think that things were going really life was really tough in the past few years. And I felt like I wanted to bring something forward that brought joy and a little whimsy. And I really just wanted to bring the garden inside to people's homes. And so I started creating them with straws. So I would blow out a flower. So that's the one that I was just kind of playing around, and they just look like a bloom. So I did a whole series of them, and they make me so happy.
Oh wow, I can see them. I will go there, but yes, perfect. Who's going next?
I'll go next. So yeah, I'm intuitive when I paint, and I'm a mixed media artist. I forgot to mention that before. And I use fire a lot. So my point is that I didn't set out to make flowers this way, but I do a lot of work with alcohol ink and Yupo paper. They call it Yupo paper, but it's really non-porous substrate that's made of some recycled plastic and some just plastic. And I don't know how I was playing around and with I think a lighter and the Yupo paper, and I noticed it made these what I felt were beautiful sort of curves and turns and lacy holes. And I just followed that. And they looked to me like petals, petals of a different sort, a little bit sort of decayed, worn by the elements. But I find such beauty in nature's imperfection and in sort of nature's way of aging and decaying, that my flowers may look a little bit different. They're maybe not pristine and peppy, but they are organic and beautiful from just the forces of nature over time, I guess. And I feel, as someone who is 53 and an aging woman in America, I feel like that's reflecting the beauty that I see in women my age, and older.
Should I go next? I'll go next. So I usually paint on different themes. Like I do wildlife, I do ocean, I do nature. Still life is something that started from, I love gardening, so I just placed some cut flowers in a flower pot one day, and I took pictures of it, and I think it just started from that simple idea, and I formed a series of floral artwork from that. And so it's just basically connecting with nature. And for me, the background of the floral artwork, I love wallpapers, I'm crazy about them. So that kind of I try to incorporate that element into the painting as well.
I really got started doing these flower crowns with the portraits and incorporating those. I remember, and it usually comes from a memory from childhood or watching my children's. And this one, it was the memory of as a little girl making those little flower chains and putting them on your head. And I thought we'd had birthdays where a friend who does incredible floral headbands and things like that, crowns, made those. I am not very good at organizing the flowers and things like that, but this came from the little girl in the painting is named Lily. So I thought that that was really beautiful, but she's my daughter's friend. And she came over to spend the night. We were looking at trying to figure out something to do with the girls. And I thought maybe they would like to make a flower crown. So we bought all these flowers from Kroger, and they, in my mind, I think that they were going to be much smaller once we put them together. But I mean, there was eucalyptus, and it was really just so big and beautiful, and it just had so much presence. And her friend has this gorgeous red hair that just, I took photographs of them and let them just have them, and because it's fun as a 13-year-old and a 12-year-old to get photos done, and I think they love that. But my daughter at this point is not as easy for me to. She's much more self-conscious, but Lily, on the other hand, really had this regalness to her about when I took those photos for reference, and the flowers were just amazing, and putting it all together was it became pretty special.
Oh, amazing. I was here to ask a question specifically on your artwork, but I think a lot of you have already spoken. But I'll still go ahead and specifically, we've done this with all artists, and I think if we've missed, and then we'll hop on to the next question. But I wanted to specifically because everybody would be looking at the work that we have in the book, and like Jessica, I will continue with you. The work that you have, work it. I really love how it's the work that we have in the book from you is called Luna, the girl's name that, like you said, it's an oil on panel, 18 by 24 inches. And when I look at it, I can see, like, I can see the girl Luna actually looking right at me. And like you said, these are huge, beautiful green flowers and leaves, and there's a butterfly on her. Does is there is there any purpose message for that?
Well, so Luna is that moth that's kind of landed on her chest, and um, I really like these times of days to paint. I also plein air paint, but um, that's you can't tell whether it's dusk or dawn. So in that sense, I really liked playing with that. And then um, Luna, actually, when I look up, the Luna moth is really beautiful. But in Roman mythology, Luna was the divine personification of the moon. So I thought that that was really beautiful. She's so regal, and it reminds me of there's some of these series with when you have children and we're watching all of their shows and stuff like that. They have stories about the children of the people in the fairy tales. That's kind of interesting, and I thought, um, it's almost like the daughter of one of these people, or um, I'm doing a painting right now called Mother Nature's Daughter. So I think that that's kind of interesting. Uh, and I studied, it sounds funny, but I studied Grimm's fairy tales in college. And I think, when am I ever going to use that class? But I have totally used that class because I love symbolism and metaphor and weaving all of those things and creating stories and stuff like that. So she is very regal, and that beautiful crown kind of just stands off. But visually, the it is actually her. I painted it, and then apparently Luna moths are her favorite. So it's kind of interesting how that like that. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm looking at Lynn, your work, and the title says Hope Spring Acrylic on Canvas. You have also given us a little bit of context while you said how you stumbled upon this. But can you also share a few thoughts on what your creative process is like? Because that I found intriguing. And you know, if you if there's like if once you make a series of work, you start to realize it's so much more than what we're thinking sometimes, or from what it really starts off. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes. So I started. So you know how your artwork evolves, right? So I pour, and that's how I initially started, but it's grown into something else. And I too work with fire, and I blow it around, not with a hair dryer, but with in it, and so it has to be very fluid. It has to be less viscous, and so I've been working with like acrylic ink, not alcohol, but acrylic, and so it just runs around. It runs around the canvas. So I paint it flat, and I use paint, and I use several different things, and I create these flowers. And because some are more viscous than others, it creates a kind of an edge to it, so it looks like a petal. So, and I use metallics in there too. So it started as one thing, as art does, as abstract art especially, and then it kind of grew into this other thing. And I did this one painting for it was actually an auction for a charity, and I posted it as I do, and I had such amazing feedback from it. And that it was bringing people joy, and that's what I was feeling when I was creating it. Because I think I was, yeah, I was creating things that were darker before, and so this was a little bit more of cheery. The flowers are cheery, and so I think at that show, this was December or November, it was just perfect timing to kind of unveil several of these very bright, cheery pieces. And I've actually made prints of this because I sold the original, so I have, and it's sold better than everything last year at least. So it's been a joy to create these and keep going.
Wonderful. Let me pop out the next artwork I have. This is again Rachel. Rachel, I see this beautiful golden, it really looks like a flower, but also not a flower. And I can feel the tactileness. And it says, Am I Still Pretty? I love the titling of it. It's an alcohol, ink, and oil paint on fire sculpted Yupo.
Yes, that's correct. Well, the am I so I always uh figure out the meaning of my work once it's completed. I don't have a concept or something I'm trying to communicate and then try to create that. It's whatever needs to come out comes out, and then I become clearer in terms of what it means. So the title "Am I Still Pretty?" Like I said, fits with sort of the name of the series is called Stone Roses. Okay, and they don't look like stone. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, they look sort of metallic, like worn patinaed metal, even though it's actually these recycled plastic sheets, because I too use a lot of metallics in my work. But anyway, so Stone Roses comes from it's the name of a band, and they are a genre of music called shoegaze music. And some people have told me that for whatever reason, my art resembles is like the artistic version of shoegaze music. So Stone Roses is the title of the series. But anyway, the entire series, as I mentioned before, is really about like the beauty and of imperfection, that comes with natural decay and organic aging. And so, am I still pretty? Again, as a 53-year-old woman in the United States, the way we view aging in particular for women, it's like, it's a question I've sort of ask myself both explicitly and sort of in other ways, when I'm buying the eye creams or whatever, as we were discussing earlier. So yeah, it's like, am I still pretty? And it also alludes to like that. I don't know if anyone's ever been told you look, well, maybe not for the younger ones amongst us yet, but you look good for your age, is sort of this backhanded compliment. It's wild to go through the aging process as a woman, at least in this country, the United States. I know we're not alone in that, but certainly it's got its own brand of um, insanity here. And so I hope that kind of explains that. I looked at that piece and I thought about my own where I can find beauty in myself aging and in this piece that looked like it's been weathered and it's seen some things and been through things and it's still standing and still looking majestic. And yet we question, you know.
I agree with the majestic. I love how I think the title is also very perfectly associated. It does feel like a flower, but also it feels like it's a tactile object. It feels like it has something dark in itself as well. So it really shows two different sides of the same coin.
I think you're right in that it definitely it's not, sad to look at, but it's also not necessarily like your cheery red poppy. There's depth and there's a lot of emotion there that's complex, I would say. So,
Very interesting. Okay. Now I have let me pull it out. We have you, Runa. Your work says Ibis and Poppins. It's on oil on canvas. And I can see these beautiful flowers on a green pot placed on a table. And like you said, you love wallpapers. There are birds. I don't know what kind of bird I would say, and I don't want to attempt that. Bluebirds on the back of it. And now I also see like a plug point, a charging point. So it looks like a wall which has, you know, uh, which shows as a background. What I'm particularly I want to ask, because you've also shared your thought about it, is why birds? Is it something that you because you took a photo, or you had some intention apart from the painting itself? Because I feel like it's saying something. I don't know what, but it's trying to say something.
So this is one of my latest in my floral series of paintings that I've been doing, and I just wanted to play around with colors. So the four elements which are in the paintings, one is the wallpaper, one is the vase, one is the table, and then are the flowers. So I knew I wanted to do something with poppies, but in order for them to kind of stand out, I had to choose a very white kind of a wallpaper. But I also wanted to add some kind of natural connection with the flowers, and I just happened to came across ibis. It's a black beaked, long beaked bird, and I wanted to kind of, because I'm very familiar with flamingos in India, you know, but I wanted to choose the right colored bird to go with my choice of poppies. So it was a very intuitive last minute decision, and no matter how much I'm prepared for how I want a painting to be, I never know till the last moment what I'm going to start or how it's going to, I might make last minute changes to it. So that was a last minute change that I made. Yeah, and honestly, I just started from the wallpaper, then I did the vase. I didn't know how and what color I was going to use till I actually started. I often do something, and if it doesn't work out, I often scrape it and try again. And then after the vase, I did the bench, and then the flowers were the last elements that I added. Yes, and I mean, I love nature, and somehow I wanted to incorporate both into the painting. And as I said, my inspiration comes from my backyard. So every time I have different flower cuttings, I base my paintings on that. So I've done hydrangeas, I've done clematis, I've done poppies now. So because of the plants, I always get birds in the backyard as well. So I think that kind of connected the whole painting together.
Wonderful. It's so exciting to finally, when we produce a book, it takes months. We keep looking at the same work. We know, all of us know, the book had a few last minute. When I looked at the first sample, I was like, I just feel like the artworks are still not speaking to me, and we had to change the layouts and everything. But we see so much of your work, and now when I'm actually talking to you, there's so much of connection. I'm never going to look at the work just as a work anymore. I will always remember Luna as the girl who Jessica's daughter is a friend of, and how someone makes these beautiful headbands, and how this artwork is just not an artwork but blowing bubbles, or flowers from your somebody's backyard, or Rachel's dead and alive. Like, it's so interesting how art connects all of us, and how they just it's just not when we're looking at them, but when we hear artist stories, just speaking to each other, and sharing what we have in our minds. And so, thank you so much, thank you for sharing. I'll ask one question as a wind up question for everybody. What do you think is the since Arts to Hearts project is focused on two things, we are deeply passionate about supporting women, creative women, and we want to create more opportunities and push the careers of emerging artists. And I think it's just two layers to it. And my question is that, guys, what do you think has been the biggest block and the biggest blessing? Something that has been your biggest strength, something that you feel is terribly hard so far in your careers, practice, as an artist and as a woman, if you want to combine or skip any.
I'll go just because I things popped into my head surprisingly right away. By the way, what everyone was saying about their work makes me really eager to go to see your work because I don't there were so many pieces of art that I wasn't sure whose is whose, and I can't wait to go back now and see your pieces. So anyway, but to answer your question, I think the biggest sort of, but what was the word you used? Blessing or yeah, if
Yeah, something that you felt was terribly hard.
and something. Okay. So a strength for me is that that actually has come with age is I mean, I'm not fearless, but I'm close to fearless. And even when the fear's there, I mean, when the fear is there, I just sort of push it aside. That's more and I don't it doesn't putting my work out there doesn't scare me at all because I don't know when you get older, maybe I just don't have time to care as much anymore. I mean, maybe it's pragmatic and not that I've had some epiphany, but so that has been helpful in that I don't feel awkward or shy about it. I just don't care as much. And it's so beautifully freeing. And then I think probably one of the harder things is as much as I'd like to say that I don't care and whatever, I know there is a part of me that cares that cares maybe more than little more than I should about the outside opinion of my work or the fact that I'm self-taught, which I've now brought up twice in this short podcast, is a thing for me. So there is definitely still this need for approval that it's getting in my way, and I sort of am curious to see what my work would be like when that really goes away.
I love that. Thank you so much for your honesty. I think you have a lot of you know fear is such a complex relationship for all of us, and we are all at so many different stages, and it keeps coming when we take two steps forward and backward, and but it's very inspiring to see that you know you are using it for using it as a strength also for yourself. Perfect. Thank you so much. Who's going next?
I can piggyback on that because I that really resonates with me, Rachel. I feel like I'm 55 and I didn't start painting, or I didn't start. I didn't start really painting until I was 50. So I painted I painted a little bit in my 40s, but I didn't really jump off that cliff and go for it until I was 50. And I that what you said, Rachel, really resonates with me because um, I think my struggle is my internal dialogue, and and also with aging, your identity changes, and you so everything changed at 50. I'm not doing what I did before. My whole life is completely changed. I moved from Canada to Atlanta and became an artist when I didn't even know that I could. And I just I think your internal dialogue can say, "I'm not an artist." You know, what do you think? Who do you think you are? And but the inspiration was in there, and I think the blessing is that um, at this point in life, at this stage in life, I'm almost saying exactly what she said, is that at this stage in life, you just feel like going for it because you're looking at the latter part of your life going, if I don't, it's not going to happen. So I think the one thing that I have that has been overcoming that is grit, that I've been able to just kind of look fear in the face and go for it. And I think that that comes with age. It's one of these things that I'm looking at my life going, I could do what I did before, but I wasn't very happy. So why not?
Right. Absolutely. I think this is a very good takeaway for sure. No, it's a great advice actually for all of us as well. We'll reach there.
Oh yeah, I can totally sense all of those things. I think connecting with people and sharing these stories, what I love about them is that we were all children at one time. We don't have a lot of things in common these days, and it can feel very much like we are always fighting or always divided, especially on social media, or stay away from the comment sections because you'll never win anything. But I like the fact that there are some things that we can still connect with. Probably, I don't know, I would say probably every kid's probably played with paper, I mean, or picked flowers or plants, or we didn't all have great childhoods. I totally recognize that. But there are some things that we can connect with, and toys and the simplicity of that, playing with sticks and digging holes in the backyard, or just playing in the woods. I love all those things. And there's some toys too that are just lots of generations will recognize the little viewfinder. They still make those. We have all of the great technology, but there's still some that they still have. Toddlers are still enamored with little cars and blocks, wood blocks. So there's still that we all can find a connection to, that I love, and I hope that it reminds other people of their childhoods. And I think I would have never thought of that again if I hadn't seen that in my niece or my son or daughter, and that's really cool. I love that. So the portraits also become a little bit of a self portrait. There's me and my stories, obviously, and I'm directing it. um, and in terms of challenges, I agree with all of those things. It's different when you get into your 40s that you think I certainly did as a mom. When I became a mom for the first time, I really was aware of my mortality. And these paintings become a way of documenting our lives in a way that photographs that we keep and hold on to don't stay with us. I'd asked my grandfather, I was desperate to get the names of all these people. I was really into genealogy. And as somebody said, Jesse, um, no one's going to care. No one's going to care that this was your great, great, great uncle or something like that. It really made me sad. But then I found it to be that these paintings that people hold on to, that they keep as heirlooms, they tell those stories of that people, of all of them in there. And so the challenge is time. How do we manage as artists all the things that we need to do to keep it going, and your lives, and paint and make it all go? That's the biggest challenge I find.
Oh, wow. I agree with memories. I always love the idea of these heirlooms and keepsakes, and how even beyond when we're gone, how these objects and, paintings, they tell us stories for generations, and also stories that are not our own. Sometimes when people look at work, they find their own stories and helps them connect with themselves. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jessica. Runa, do you want to go now?
Yes. So for me, I've always been painting since my childhood. I don't know if you can find it relatable, but choosing art as a profession in India wasn't really promising, and wasn't, yes. It's like, is it going to pay for your, food? So it wasn't really an option for me. I actually really started painting when I moved to Canada because I had extra time, and it just inspired something in me to pursue it again. Even though I was doing it on a smaller scale, but I feel like I really found my true calling when I moved to Canada. And now, because of social media, I feel like the world has opened for me. Like something that I couldn't do in the past, I feel like there's so many opportunities. Um, and there's so many options available for us than they were a couple of years ago. So I feel like I'm really fortunate to have really found this profession back again now in this time of social media. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. It was so nice speaking to all of you and everybody who joined us. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And I hope you did enjoy and you really want to. I hope you do grab your copies of the Archivas Project 101 Floral Book Edition. And the link will, of course, be in the bio and in the show notes. But before I go, I will also quickly let our ladies share where you can find them, support them. And like I always say, a support can go a long way, from buying the book, buying their work, sharing this episode, liking, commenting on each other's work, following each other,